if there's a need, you just let me know. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just get started then with the Bitcoin deep dive. And again, just for the context of the audience, we have Shayla and we have John in the discussion group here. It's a fairly small one because they have been around, in the how long? When did you get started, Shayla? Maybe I'll start with you on day one, crypto.
I
Do
got
you remember?
started in the summer of 2017.
Okay, summer of 2017. John, is that something close
Yeah, I
to
was,
you?
again, I remember it like it was yesterday, and it's similar to my Litecoin story. March 4th, 2017, this little guy's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a whole new world opened up to me learning about cryptocurrencies.
Okay, okay. You're a little bit softer in your voice, John, just to let you
Oh,
know.
okay.
Yeah, not sure why. Maybe if your audio is far away,
Okay.
um, but that's okay. Okay, so March and it's
No, it's
summer back in
summer.
2017. Okay, that's great. We will go through a Bitcoin deep dive, and this would be basically four major topics. We'll look at a little bit about Bitcoin attributes, in terms of the fundamentals, and I'll check in with you guys as well around, your initial thoughts those days and some of your thoughts today. I will go through the whole cycle in terms of the market structure. Look at the Bitcoin dominance against the altcoins, and finally, how can as investors profit more with all these understanding. So we've tried to provide a lot of deep insights on how the Bitcoin behaves, and which you see playing out in all the cycles. So we go through that, and we'll start with the Bitcoin attributes. So first impression, let's start with maybe John. When you learn about Bitcoin, did it attract you? Did it not attract you? This is going back into your March
Oh, sure.
2017.
You know what? As my dad would say, it had me hook, line, and sinker. Like I was like fish. And normally, what I do when I don't know about a subject area is that I'll research it to death. Like
Wow.
Rubik's Cube, I'll turn it around upside,
Mm,
downside. And with this, with Bitcoin slash blockchain slash digital currency, I just said,
right.
I don't want to wait 10 years and then go,
Wow.
okay, plop some money into it. So
Okay.
not pat myself on the back. I started right away, not really knowing what I was buying, kind of.
Wow. That's really
So
amazing.
yeah.
Wow. So sounds like Sheila, John just jumped right in, when he learned about all this stuff. That's amazing. Yeah, how about you, Shayla? Did he grab you right off the
It, it,
beginning?
it grabbed me right off, and
Wow.
I hook, line, and sinker. There, I
Wow.
love the concept of a decentralized currency, and with the way our economy is and the way the world is, I thought it was just something very positive, and I got very excited about it, and
Hmm.
I'm still excited about it. And now I can see I've done a lot of research. My friend's son had made a lot of money, and so that piqued my interest also.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, now of course I can see the pros and the cons, and it's very exciting.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. On my story, I think I am sort of the opposite side of the spectrum. I am typically a skeptical person. So when I look at all this, um, one of the first things that I check in is how is China reacting? This is back in 2017. And the reason why I did not got in those days was China said this is all illegal. Now I'm not Chinese, from China, but for me, a market that is big, we need some masses to come in. So when China banned this, back those days, And it's still banned today in terms of currency, but they encourage blockchain. So that's the main reason why I didn't come in, unfortunately, for me. So I got stuck into the metals market those days and Forex still. And that was me. Did not really go down, but at the time I was really interested in another coin called HBAR or Hashgraph, Hedera Hashgraph. But it hasn't gone in the into ICO, and it just got started early on. But coming back to Bitcoin, is there anything specific that attributes, in terms of its attributes, that you maybe I'll start go back with Shayla, that you really really like, that you thought, okay, there's this part that I really like. Is it the money making, or is it
It
something else
wasn't,
that?
yeah, it was a little bit of the money making secondary, but primary was decentralized currency. I love the idea of maybe a utopian society where there would be more choices, and I was
Right.
very idealistic. And I've watched so many YouTube videos these last 2 years, and I've read so much about the IMF and the European central banks, and you know, I'm still positive, but I also see, I don't know, maybe there's another side, maybe about being tracked and other things that I didn't look at right away, right? I
Right.
mean, the elimination of cash, and
Mm-hmm.
that's, I mean, it sounds exciting because now with COVID, people view it as cash as being dirty. But the other
Mm-hmm.
side, if there's no cash, we can be tracked all the time. I'm not very happy about that.
Right. So the privacy is somewhat big for you. Um, it sounds like it.
Yeah, it's big for me. I mean, I want to pay my taxes. I have no problem paying taxes. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
hide from the government not paying taxes.
Yep.
It just, you know, in certain business, you know, if I might do something with my business, I might not want someone else to know about it. That's doing the
Yes.
same thing I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah. So just to discuss out in the public, I think Shayla, myself, including John, we have no problem paying taxes. I think just to make it clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think John, you also made a video recently talking about paying taxes. I happened to watch it. So okay, going to you, John. Is there anything specific that you like about Bitcoin?
Well, I remember when I first heard about it, again, early March 2017. I mean, I'm not an economist by trade, but I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the global economy doesn't look real bright. I stumbled upon Coin Market Cap, and at the time,
Hmm.
the Bitcoin dominance was in 90 plus, right? It was maybe 93
Right.
or something like that. I'm like, holy
Wow.
Toledo, like I don't even know what an altcoin is, but this Bitcoin is like, you know, the granddaddy or the dad
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just think of, or I thought of back then, all the times, which wasn't like hundreds of times, but I would wire money to people,
Hmm.
and depending on where they were in the world, it could be not a nightmare, but I'm going, I don't need anybody's permission. I could wake up Sunday morning at 3 in the
Right.
morning and send Bitcoin to someone,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't need anybody's permission, and their bank doesn't need to be open. I'm
Hmm.
like, there was a real drawing for me when I just
Hmm.
heard about even some of the Bitcoin basics. And again,
Right.
I just did a cannonball. I'm like, I'm all in. I'm all in the
Right.
pool. Go.
Right. Well done.
And I learned
Well
as we
done.
go along.
Well done. Well done. I think both of you did well coming in. And obviously the ride down wasn't fun, but at least you guys got in early, and I think you would still have upside on your side. Yeah. I think what got me into Bitcoin eventually. I mean, I understand the idea of cryptocurrency early on, but just like any market, I say, if it wants to grow, it needs all the big players to come in. And those days, including US, I think every country in the world were fairly negative, and regulations, weren't there like today. But I think the last 12 months has changed a lot in the space. There's an incredible amount of improvement, from a regulation and the adoption across the world. I don't know, would it be a fair statement to say from both of you who started back 3 years ago in terms of the improvement that we see? Yeah.
You mean as far as buying, selling, or?
Yeah, in terms of regulation, buying, selling, adoption, and all these things. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, John. That's all right.
To say, if my mother were alive, she probably couldn't do it, but she passed away at 83,
Okay.
like 6 years ago. So
Hmm.
I mean, not that she's the benchmark of the ease. I mean, I think it's gotten easier,
Right.
but my son and friends still call me periodically when they need help.
Right.
So, and again, maybe I'm not representative of the globe when it comes to,
Yeah.
trying to figure this stuff out. But I'm happy. I hope it gets a little easier for more people to, become more excited and familiar and easy on ramps with wallets and whatnot. But I don't think it's super difficult now as opposed to 2017.
Right. Yeah, and Shayla told me before, how does it feel like back those days buying Bitcoin? Is there a term you would use?
Frustrating.
Okay, frustrated.
And
Okay.
exciting at the same
Exciting.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. I just had a friend who was trying to sign up with Bittrex, and I remember I had signed up with Bittrex and other, there's other exchanges. And when you have to take a picture of yourself with the license, if you didn't take the picture correctly, you'd get an email back maybe a day or two later that would say, okay, it's blurry, take it again. And this would go back and forth for a couple of days. It's really frustrating. And so by the time you wanted to make the trade, Bitcoin had already gone up or down. And so you missed the trade. And so I just had a friend sign up with Bittrex yesterday. I was helping her. And so when my friend took the picture, the phone or the computer said, okay, closer, farther away. And so they got a perfect picture the first time. And so she was able to make her trade immediately. So that's improved.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's come a long way. Yeah, so that's really good. Do you feel differently? Maybe this will be the last question on this. Do you feel differently now on Bitcoin than before? As it changed in time, as in our relationship, it changed sometimes in how we release stuff. But how about Bitcoin? Has it changed, or what's your view? I'll go with John, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, this is going to sound backwards, but I will always appreciate Bitcoin. That's going to have its place in, history,
Right.
But the flip side of that coin, a friend of mine who I met on one of the crypto road trips in 2018 challenged me to just rethink my position about owning Bitcoin. And then that opened up a whole new door to studying some of the altcoins. So while I love Bitcoin, that was like an on-ramp, for lack of a better word, into the, the deep sea world, underwater world of all the altcoins.
Right. And Shayla, do you feel the same way, or how do you feel your relationship now with Bitcoin?
Well, when I first got into it, I had heard of Bitcoin, so that was the first one I bought. But immediately, I'd say within 24 hours, I thought to myself, well, okay, this is utopia, but really, what's the point of it? I didn't really see the point. And so I started looking at altcoins immediately to see I'm a very practical person. So what's practical? What can I use out in the world?
Right.
And so I saw Bitcoin more of right away as a store of value, like maybe like gold.
Right.
There were other coins that in the top 10 that immediately caught my eye because it's something that you could use that would benefit me, like wire transferring money, which I could do at ease, where the banks right now are so slow.
Yeah. I hope the banks hear that. But that's exactly right. I think for those of listener who are new, you might want to when you start learning about Bitcoin, you would very quickly, like all of us, move into altcoins very quickly. So just watch out. I think everyone agrees that Bitcoin is like the door into a whole new world, typically, and a lot of times we evolve in terms of our portfolio, and like you guys would know that I don't hold any Bitcoin except $10, which is given to me for free. And most of us would hold a lot of altcoin as well. So hopefully the listener will understand the journey, excuse me, that's being taken by most of us. So yes, very interesting, good discussion. We'll probably circle back on some of those stories. Maybe we'll go into one of the stories. Is there a story that anyone would like to share? I don't know, John, we'll start with John on Bitcoin those days, that it's either funny or useful, or
Well,
mm-hmm.
in my excitement to tell the world about Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
no one wanted to hear it. So, I mean, my adult children didn't want to hear it. Their spouses didn't. When I say didn't want to hear it, they're like, no, I don't know anything about Bitcoin. Hey, pass the ketchup, like sitting at the table. And yeah, I was surprised. Again, the 4 cryptocurrency road trips that I took.
Yeah.
I would say 1 out of 50 people had even heard about Bitcoin. And going, come on, colleges, universities, hotels, shopping malls, talking to anybody that would listen to me. I'm like, no one knows about this. This is the best kept secret since sliced bread. It really opened my eyes that no one, I say no one, maybe 1 out of 50 or 60 people had even heard about Bitcoin. And I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe I know an inch more than most people do, which is amazing.
Right. Very good, very good. Shayla, do you have a good story to share before we move on?
Yeah, I've had friends for the last few years. I've shared it with. I've sent out emails. I've sent out different websites from different governments around the world and what they're doing with blockchain technology and the different studies that they're doing. And I found people didn't want to listen to it. They weren't interested. They said, well, I can't touch it. I can't feel it. This is a scam. And they can't, right? Everyone thought it was a scam, and they would smirk and they'd say, I remember I had a friend last year when it was in the dead crypto winter, when so many people had lost money, including myself, in crypto.
Yeah.
And he said to me, hey Shayla, how are you doing now with that Bitcoin? And with a big smirk on his face. And I thought, ooh, you just wait until we start making money again.
Oh, that's so good. That's so funny. Yeah. I'll just share one quick one, then we move on. A real event, excuse me, came to my mind. I remember I was, I think I was in UK, I think many years back. And this guy was handing out his own fiat currency. You wouldn't believe this, right? There's this guy in the middle of the city, and he's handing out fiat currency, his own fiat currency that he printed. And he was telling everyone, the whole world is going to crash, and, and we need our own currency, and come start with mine, and that was really interesting. It reminded me of that, except Bitcoin is the same thing on different level, obviously. So I don't think this idea of having a better, more trusted currency, this idea, I think, has been around for many years. People just understood, what what the government or the U.S. Federal Reserve or the country's reserve bank are doing, printing money. And so this story of people just wanting an alternative it's really powerful. So that's the story that every time I look at Bitcoin, I remember the guy who hand out fiat currency. And that's really interesting. I'll just pause and grab some water. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, must be the coffee. But we'll move on. Okay. All right. So we'll go into the cycles of Bitcoin now, and especially for there will be, I'm sure, a lot of newbies coming in. You know, when this bull cycle picks up, and hopefully this video will give them, you know, a whole lot more information to look at. So this is a cycle going back to 2011. You know, so the first halving and the second halving, and now we're in the third halving. So now this overall cycle, it gives us a few insights that I would like to share with people, and both of you would know that every cycle, you know, if you look at the 2011, 12, and compared to 2016, 17, it lengthens, right? So the first cycle, you know, it took less than a year from the halving to go to the top. And, you know, in the 2016, 17, it took more than a year. And now, you know, we're expecting, you know, at least 18 months. And John, you would know, give or take, right? I mean, no one really can exactly say, you know, what day and a month. Yeah, so we'll know it's roughly around 18, slightly more, maybe into January 2022. But we'll see how it is coming from May. May 12 was the halving that we have. So we use that as our reference. And we know these are exciting times for those who are just starting to come in, because we are on the second black arrow. And the second black arrow would indicate it's an uptrend that we are looking at, especially for the altcoins. So that would be a key insight, you know, 18 months from now, roughly. Yeah. Is there any question or comment around this overall picture, or is it fairly clear?
No, I love it. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, it just provides some timing, I think, to the investors, because one of the other things is once after 18 months from now, or in this case, you know, after the bull run, I mean, things would correct significantly. So people just need to be aware. And I think this is where Shayla and John, you guys went through that amazing up and rise and fall, isn't it? And maybe if you can kindly share your emotions back those days, maybe I'll start with you, John. When let's talk about that rise and fall. What were the emotional state of emotions that you had?
Sure. Well, this is my story and I'm sticking to it. So, you know, put a little money in. Again, didn't know what I was doing. And you would think that it'd be kind of stupid. I'm like, you know what? Let's throw some money at this. Let's see where it goes. I'll start to learn about it.
Yeah.
And then again, I'm not bragging. I'm not, you know, I'd say within a short period of time, like well under a year, I'm at like 15 to 18x in my portfolio. You would think that would be fun. I felt like I was holding on to like a rocket ship.
Right.
Like once a week, I would show my wife, like, hey, hon, look at this. And she's like, what in the world is that? And I'm like, I have no idea. It's called cryptocurrency. And I need to learn about this because this is like, in a good way, super explosive. So I saw it go all the way up. I saw it go all the way down. And I'm like, never again. I didn't know sell, buy more, hold, do this, hodl, do this. So what I tell the people on my YouTube channel, every crypto mentor has a crypto mentor. and Jay is my crypto mentor. I said, it's not going to happen again. I'm not going to do the run up and stare at my portfolio and be petrified and watch it go back down. And then I'm 68 years old or whatever. I'm like, I'm not doing it again.
That's it. Let's not repeat that same mistake again. And I appreciate you calling that out. I think that's the key thing to a lot of newbies who probably just, if there's a newbie coming in, if you are new to investing into Bitcoin or any of these crypto, just listen to John, and it's not fun. And Shayla, I don't know, you probably have similar experience. Would that be fair to say?
It was euphoria. And I started to make money at first, and then this greed took over. And
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and people and I want to share that with people so it doesn't happen to them, because you start making money and you think it's going to go on forever, and it's so exciting, and then it doesn't. And I remember at the time I had someone say, well, maybe you ought to step back, and I said, no, we're right in the middle of this bull cycle. And I just didn't have enough knowledge at the time. And it was one of those, we all have mistakes in life. We all go through things. Nobody gets out of here without having some trauma or tragedy.
Yeah, scar. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have these scars. We all have our scars, right? And so looking back on it now, it was one of those things I just had to learn and just had to let go. And if I make a profit, I don't need to it doesn't have to be perfect. Right? Yeah. It's okay to take money off the table. And one of the things for me is at the time I kept trying to get people involved, and I did get somebody involved, and they lost a lot of money also. It wasn't because of me, but they saw my excitement. And so I have some guilt about that. And I felt so bad. I actually said to them, let me, I want to reimburse everything that you've lost, because I introduced you to this. And they said, no, this is on me, Shayla. I got into it. You told me about it, but this is on me. And I felt bad. I wanted to help them.
Yeah. And that's really a danger. And that's, being in the market for many years, the market has a way to catch hold of your, it makes you idealistic. It makes you really emotional, where logic doesn't kick in anymore. And that's just how it works. And I hope investors who come into this space understand that really well, that when things start to move up, it'll take hold of you. And the moment you get greedy, which is the reason why we use the 3 moonshots, or we call it the 3 push, is because this is why the 3 push happens in the market, right? So I'll explain again. The first push or the first moonshot is to get your attention, right? So that's what happened. When the first moonshot happens, the news will come in. You will start telling, the taxi driver or your neighbor, hey, look, I'm doing well. And they would look at it. They'll hear you out. That's the first moonshot. Now, the second moonshot or the second push for the listener is to get the neighbor to then validate, right? When the second moonshot happens, John's neighbor, Joe, would say, hey, John is right, John is right, it's moving up, the second moonshot, it's happening. And guess what? On the third moonshot, they'll say, I'm going in, right? I'm going in on the third one. And this is where they get caught, and we know, in our group, the third moonshot is the one that goes up and comes back all the way down. That's the third moonshot. So that is why the 3 push or the 3 moonshot works, is because that's how the market traps investors. So hopefully that's the story behind this chart over here. So hopefully people will learn from this chart. So we move on. We'll start with the different 3 cycles. So over here, 20, 11, 12. We look at that. We look at 16, 17, and 20, 21 to forecast it forward. So we look at that. And this is back in the days where you can see the charts has just got, the candles or the bar chart here you can hardly see any wick those days, just indicating things are just really fluid. Just goes up, just comes down, and things are just moving. So there's one, there's maybe two insights, two main insights here. And obviously our method here is able to project the three moonshots over here. I won't go too much into our method now. We obviously teach this in our site, but I would like the investors to know the first moonshot. This is going back to 2011. It is below the all-time high, and this is where things started to happen within the structure itself. So it happens. The all-time high moonshot one happens within the below the all-time high, the moonshot one. And that's one. Okay, that's an important point. And you see that happening across all the cycles, the bull cycles. And I'm expecting, the Bitcoin's first moonshot to happen within the all-time high as well. So that was the all-time high those days. Moonshot one happens within, and this is where people get excited. The investors will get excited, like, "Ooh, look, things are happening." And when the moonshot two happens, you will see it rockets up, right? And this is where people's attention, people get attention on Bitcoin, like, okay, there's something serious happening here. And when it catch hold of all the investors, and guess what? It ranges for quite a while before it moonshot three again. So we see that pattern happening over and over again. But the second insight here, I want people to learn that the second moonshot is always amazing for Bitcoin. It just rockets up. And now the third one would rocket up as well, but you have to endure the some range days over here. So that's 2011 and 12. I'm not sure, John, you or Shayla, you were around, and did you look at this at all back those days in 2011, 12?
I had not heard of it until summer 2000.
Were you guys looking at it back in those days?
No, I
wasn't.
wasn't.
But I didn't understand it. So, I mean, I didn't know what I was looking at, pretty much.
Right.
I mean, I know what a candle is. I know when it goes up, green is, green and red. Like, I know that, but I mean, I was like, what?
But I mean, those days, were you looking at Bitcoin? Sorry, maybe I just need to clarify. Were you looking at Bitcoin back in the days of 11 and 12, or did you just hear about it?
No.
Okay. And the same with you, Shayla, you weren't paying attention to Bitcoin back in 2011 and 12?
I had never heard of Bitcoin until the summer of 2017, and I was investing within 24 hours. I was so hooked.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think it came out in the news even those days, but most of us weren't investors, I would say. It's too speculative. And that's just how it is. Now, coming to the last cycle, 2016 and 17. We use the same method in forecasting our moonshot, and you see us forecasting the moonshot 1, 2, and 3 as well. So this one is mainly on forecasting the moonshot one, and I just want to talk about our validation method a little bit. One of the main thing about our method is, we have a way to triangulate, where the moonshot one is. And, we have two methods over here. So one of them would be the small tree push here from the slingshot. And you end up providing a sense around where the moonshot one is. But also we have an idea of XRP as a compass these days to see, where XRP's moonshot one is, or slingshot. And normally those areas that, coincide, would provide an indication of where, some of the key areas are in terms of the moonshot one. Now over here, again, you will see the Bitcoin barely touched all-time high and came back down. And this was the again the moonshot one for the 2016 and 2017 cycle. So moving on, and yeah, this is the 16, 17. This is the all-time high again. You can see the pattern. It came back down, comes back up here to do a slingshot, and then push all the way. Just it will touch the all-time high and come back down, and that will complete this moonshot 1. And if we use it to project upwards, you see where moonshot 2 and 3 would complete. So again, this model would accurately predict or forecast the moonshot 2 and 3. One thing I'd like to point to you, price would come close to all-time high. In this case, it just touched and just broke slightly and came back down. Where did it come back down? It came back down to this resistant 1 level. Now this is in reference to the peak, the second highest peak over here. And this is where it's interesting, right? It seems like Bitcoin always loves to ride up to all-time high. And it's not just Bitcoin, but a lot of the coins as well. And then you have to come back and retest or break the resistant 1 over here. Now, so this little character that Bitcoin has, we can see it playing out in a lot of other coins. So just bear that in mind, because this will be useful later on for the investors. Because you should be exiting at all-time high, when the price hits all-time high, and you would know price will come back down below the resistant 1 level, and you can buy back at a much better price. So we see that happening over and over in the first, in the second. I'm sure it will happen in the third. There's also, again, this rise. Once it's break all-time high, and this moonshot 2 trajectory that goes up, there's this initial phase that is really amazing. It's a runaway phase for Bitcoin. Again, you see this, over here where I'm highlighting. So those, if you can catch that, I mean, that's a great trade over there, where it just shoots up for a period of time by, at least 3x over there for a short period of time. So we see that happening. And moving forward, I just want to show the latest 2020 Bitcoin against Litecoin. Now, I picked Litecoin because the pattern and the fractal that Bitcoin is doing, the latest one, is very similar to the last cycle's Litecoin. And this is where I was trying to show people, the similarities between the pattern and where, the peaks and where the main support that we see are. And if we were to track and, the between and contrast against Bitcoin and Litecoin, you would see, Bitcoin is actually doing, it's doing this, we call it like a, triple crown over here. And it has been holding on that level for quite a number of months now. I'm not sure you guys are following Bitcoin, but if you are, you would know a lot of YouTubers are complaining that, Bitcoin isn't doing anything. And I was listening to one guy saying, Bitcoin will either go up or go down. I was thinking, gee, that isn't that true from here. So now, where do we think it's going? Is it going up and continue to break, and which is, which we think will get really exciting? If that's the case, if I'm correct, which is projecting this triple crown here onto Litecoin's 2017 triple crown, there's only one way, right, which is going down. And there's, this concept that in order to go up, you have to go down first, right? You just can't, market just doesn't keep going up and up and up. I mean, it doesn't work that way. It's always zigzag upwards, zigzag downwards. That's the nature of the market. Now, Bitcoin has come up quite substantially from the bottom here in support number 5. And it has been hanging in there. So I think it's coming back down for it to form a slingshot and then start pushing up. So that's my view. Yeah, are you guys aware of what Bitcoin is doing these days? Both John and Shayla,
Yeah.
do you
For sure.
follow?
I
Okay,
follow it sometimes.
okay. Shayla, do you follow Bitcoin as well on your side?
I follow it sometimes, yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so I don't follow too much, but sometimes you just want to just glance over and see, hey, what is Bitcoin doing? So yeah, that's what it is. Now back in May, mid of May, I've said that, I've said I don't think Bitcoin is going anywhere up. Now this weekend gap concept, um, there's a gap concept in trading where if you have a gap somewhere, it has to come back down and close it. Typically, that's how it is. So for the last, I would say, 9 months maybe since I've been invested in crypto, I've always interested in the CME. Now these are futures gap. Now obviously Bitcoin has a derivatives off from its actual market. And as a trader, there's always I always get interested in the gap. Now, my definition of gap is slightly different from the standard definition, just to let everyone know. I'm actually looking at the weekend close gap. What it means is at the end of the weekday, Friday, the futures market will close. And if you look at the closing price, and if there is a gap between the closing price and the Monday's opening price, that means there's a gap, right? So for me, I saw that Bitcoin is the only coin that has a gap that hasn't been closed. So I said here, I've seen XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum has closed all their gaps, weekend gaps, but Bitcoin hasn't done it. Now, the weekend gap concept is not from market structure, right? So market structure doesn't deal with weekend gap. So weekend gap is just a theory, an idea that seemed to work. It hasn't failed me yet now. So just to share a story where when the bull run happened, one of the bull, when XRPs push up before the big drop in March. I was thinking, oh, there you go. When XRP push up, I said, wow, there's a lot of gaps down there that XRP did not push, and maybe this gap idea doesn't work. And lo and behold, it just crashed. We know what happened back around in March and something, and all the gaps get closed. I'm like, wow, And since then, I did not challenge this weekend gap idea. And whenever there's a gap, I just tell people, I don't know if it still works, but it hasn't failed so far. So right now, Bitcoin is the only one, in my opinion, I think that's still true, that has a gap down at 7,600. So people who follow me, they try to check in and say, hey, Jay, do you think it will come back down? I say, it looks really far away. Those days in May especially. Now it's slightly lower. I think Bitcoin did come back down a little bit lower. But will it come down to 7,600? It looks far away, but it's definitely possible. I'm not ruling it out. So what I think, if you combine the both idea, it actually makes sense, right? Market structure says it will come back down. And what the gap theory is saying is, well, not just come back down, it has to come back down to 7,600 to close the gap. And from there, it has the potential to then push up, to then form the three push using the slingshot that will generate the moonshot one. So do you think that explanation is clear? I sort of mixed up between the technicals and is that clear for both of you on that
Yes.
rationale?
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. You bet.
Okay.
It's very clear.
Okay. How do you sense? Do you sense Bitcoin is coming down or is going up? What's your sentiment now?
Well, I'm going to say what the other guy said. It could go up and it could go down. I don't have a clue. I don't. Full disclosure, this guy doesn't have a clue.
Okay. And
I'm in
Shayla, do you have
agreement.
any sense or any
I'm in,
sentiment?
I'm in agreement. It's always going up. It's always going down. I think I'll refer to you, Jay, for that
Okay,
answer.
that's fine. That's fine. Um, yeah, it will definitely either go up or go down for sure. I was thinking like, well, you shouldn't be, I mean, if you are an investor, I mean, if you're providing advice, that's not helping. Like if you tell the investors, hey, do you know if Bitcoin is going, well, it's either going to go down or going to go. Yeah, of course I know that. But my stand is it should go back down. And according to the gap theory, 7,600 is possible. And I think if it goes back down and comes back up to form the slingshot over here, which I've drawn the boxes, the projection actually looks really well, and that's why I don't see, I do see other options of how it can form the slingshot, which I've tried. And I was looking around and say, where's where is Bitcoin going to form its slingshot? Is it on this big one? Well, if it's using this big one, wow, Bitcoin is going to $1 million. Like if it uses this as the slingshot, and I say it couldn't be that. And I had to be conservative as well. I do not want to make those claims, and I don't think so. But again, if we were to compare what the Litecoin and Bitcoin is doing, Litecoin actually provides a clue around where the moonshot one is going to be. So, and maybe I'll just go through a little bit here. You can see this Litecoin's chart where it comes up. There is a strong push up here on this peak here, and this is almost aligned to the moonshot one. So, what it's saying is, this peak here, yeah, it's above here, but based on the last few cycles in Bitcoin, the moonshot would have to be typically within the all-time high and this level over here. So that would indicate, the moonshot one. So this would be the peak here, right? And so the moonshot one would be somewhere around here. If it does that, then all this should be playing out. So that's just my view. I'm getting guidance from the market structure as well as the gap theory. So it's really strong. I don't see how Bitcoin will be going up from here if it doesn't come down. It has to come down first to do it. So hopefully that will help out you investors in Bitcoin, that you might not want to invest all your capital first, and maybe you might want to invest half or 1/3 and wait for it to come back down, and to buy a little bit more. Yeah, just a view on how it could work. So just be mindful of that. And if that's the case, then we have our method of forecasting moonshot 1, 2, and 3. So which goes all the way up to 250. And that's really the conservative number here. Can it go up to 300K? Of course it can. It depends on how the moonshot 1 plays out. So I would expect the moonshot 1 to be, again, just below the all-time high to be formed. And then it'll push up to the second moonshot. Now again, this highlighted zone here, this is where you see the high Bitcoin doing high velocity, shooting up, and then coming back down and range a little bit, and eventually shoots up to 250K. Yeah, so if it goes up to 250 as an estimate from here, the current price is about $9,000. It will do about 27x, which is fairly good. Yeah. Any questions from both of you, John, Shayla, before we proceed?
No, I'm too busy taking notes. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If Bitcoin goes up to, let's say, 250,000, where would that put the altcoins?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, we'll look at that, between Bitcoin dominance against the altcoins. Are you referring specifically, Shayla, to the market cap, or is there specific aspects to the question?
I guess so. Yeah, partly the market caps, and also
Okay.
the other part of my question is, would I be wise because I had sold my Bitcoin. I was
Yeah,
wondering if I'd be wise maybe to have a Bitcoin in my back pocket just in case,
right, just in case.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's what we want to answer. So I'll just move on, and we can always come back to that chart. And to answer that question, we have to look at the historical trends in the Bitcoin dominance. And and those of you who are new, listening in, and if you're wondering what Bitcoin dominance is, it's basically Bitcoin versus the altcoins. And you can look at the definition and Google it. I think it's just Bitcoin divided by altcoin market cap and something like that. So this would be the chart. It's a very busy chart, but I just wanted to show how the trends are, at least the last cycle. And going against, I picked two examples, two altcoin. One is Digibyte, one is XRP. But I'll start with the Bitcoin dominance chart. There are three charts here, which makes this very busy. So I'll just go slowly so that people can understand. And so this bar chart here, the bar chart here that comes up and eventually drops like a rock here, comes back up and does this. So this bar chart represents the Bitcoin dominance. And then we have the orange chart here as that's Digibyte history. And then we have the blue turquoise, that's XRP. So now if you look at the Bitcoin dominance back in the days, and this is where the beginning of the 2016-17 bull run is. When it starts, we saw that the Bitcoin dominance drop like a rock. In other words, the altcoins were doing really well, right, in the beginning of the run. Bitcoin dominance dropped like a rock. And eventually, at the end of Moonshot 2 of the altcoins, like in this case, you can see the orange color, Digibyte, went up fairly strongly and completes its Moonshot 2. And the same with XRP. XRP completed its Moonshot 2 earlier, slightly earlier. And then, Digibyte would have done its Moonshot 2 as well. Now, once the Moonshot 2 is completed by the altcoins, guess what? The Bitcoin dominance would come back up quite strongly. And then it drops back down again when the altcoins would shoot up into Moonshot 3. So that's a major trend that people, investors, would want to know. That early on, you might not want to put your money in Bitcoin or a lot of money in Bitcoin because the altcoin is running. But once the altcoin has completed Moonshot 2, you would want to consider shifting into Bitcoin. Now, in our game plan, 1000x game plan, you know that in rotation 4, Bitcoin is part of the game. So, just like any pieces in chess, you got to make the right move at the right time. And it's important to know how things may be playing out into the future. So that's the answer, Shayla, I think to your question, hopefully, that early on, you may not want to get exposure. It sounds like, wow, you can get 27x, 30x if you ride all the way up Bitcoin. Yes, but if you actually put more money in altcoin first, for example, Digibyte or XRP, you would ride all the way up to Moonshot 2 and then swap over to Bitcoin. You might do even better. You'll probably do really well if you do that, use that strategy. Is that clear, Shayla, on the answer?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we will rotate back into Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum, depending on which coin is better to ride when Bitcoin dominance goes up. So that would be it. John, is that also clear in your regards to how this is going to play out?
Yes, I've never seen it like that, like on a graph. But yeah, sometimes with some things I could be a visual learner.
Yeah.
Like I'm here. This is fascinating. Yeah, thanks for showing that.
Okay. Yeah, we try to provide data and evidence to people. We can't just talk about, I think this is going to happen and all this stuff. We have to refer to historical data and trends. So yeah, hopefully investors will find this useful. And what we'll do is we just summarize very quickly. So back into the first question, should I invest in Bitcoin now? So probably that there are a couple of factors happening. So one is the weekend gap is saying, Bitcoin's got to come down to 7,600. So that's what the weekend gap is saying. Market structure agrees that Bitcoin would have to come back down and then push up to complete its slingshot, and then move all the way up eventually to the moonshot one over here. So that's number one. You might not want to invest if you are a big fan of Bitcoin. Maybe not now. So consider, all coins at the early stage now. Especially those of you who knows is doing moonshot, and in our group we know where all the coins are in terms of what they are doing. So coins like Digibyte, KNC, ZRX, VeChain, all of these are either doing moonshot one or is about to start moonshot moonshot one. So those coins might be better play right now. And once they're done, again, in moonshot 2 for those altcoins, you might come back to Bitcoin. So yeah. Another thing to consider is if you actually invested in Bitcoin, when it goes up to touch all-time high. So here's point number 3, which is about 19,800. Consider selling your Bitcoin, because it might go back down to 17,600 to retest that resistance or support. So that we see that happening last 2 cycles. I'm sure it will happen again. Again, it's not just for Bitcoin; it's in general. All cryptos you see that. So if you want to get, how many percent is that? That's maybe about 10-20%, somewhere around there, maybe. Yeah, so that you get some discount if you do that. So that would be really good. If you are riding Bitcoin early, sell at all-time high, buy back at $17,000. So that's point number 3. And moonshot 2, yeah. So don't miss out if you really like Bitcoin. Don't miss out on moonshot 2. Bitcoin's moonshot 2. If it breaks the all-time high the second time or third time, and you see it going up, yeah, right, that's just going to be a nice rocket ship going up. So you don't want to miss that if you're on the ride. And yeah, so we will definitely, when what you call all coins has finished its moonshot 2, we'll definitely use Bitcoin, most likely, we'll see, to help us get more factors or return in our money. So remember, when the altcoins have finished moonshot 2, yeah, Bitcoin would be the one to go for, because Bitcoin will come from behind and help us push our investment up. So those are the 5 key insights that we see. I think that would be useful for investors. Do you think those are useful points, John, Shayla? Or is there any other question around this?
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, what I find is that I can tell when someone's new in the crypto space because they can't believe some of the price projections for Bitcoin. In the same way, when I first got involved, it was like $1,100, and I'm like, that's a lot of money. And then it went up to almost 20, and I'm like, oh, I guess I had no idea how high this could go.
Right.
So people that have been around a while, they're like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going to whatever. And some of the new people are like, well, that's a lot. There's no way it's going to go back to 20,000. I'm like, come and talk to me in a few months or 8 months or a year or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, this is super helpful, Jen.
Yeah. Well, you do get someone on the other spectrum as well, John, that say, Bitcoin is going to $1 million this cycle. You do get that as well, and no, it's not. It's really unlikely. I think it can go up to 300K. 400K, woo, that's really pushing it. So I don't really see that. But again, you know, $1 million, maybe not this cycle, maybe next cycle, 2025, 16. Yeah, but not this cycle. I don't see it happening for Bitcoin going to $1 million. Yeah. Okay, we just open up for questions. If there's any other stuff that I have not covered or you like to ask, yeah, is there anything?
Well, I have a question that may be a little, I'm sure that there's some latitude in the way that you answer, Jay.
Yeah,
Again, you don't need to give me the technical the technical answer because I may not
yeah,
understand it. But
yeah.
how do you decide roughly, again, roughly approximations of the 3 different moonshots? Like, is that some mathematical equation, for lack of a better word, or is that just something that you personally have learned over the years with your Forex trading?
Yeah.
Or is it set in stone and I'm the only one that that doesn't know about it and the whole world knows about it?
Right, it doesn't, right? So I learned the 3 push from someone else in the Forex market. So that's how it started. And again, you know, it was explained to me why, and which I've done the explanation early on, why the 3 push is a way to trap the investors early on. So that's where 3 push comes from. I was trying to search back this guy who taught me many years ago. We're talking about, gee, I don't even remember, maybe more, it's more than 10 years ago that I learned this in Forex. And I don't know even these guys exist anymore. I can't find them. But this is not new in a way. People say, "Oh, this sounds new in crypto." Yeah, it's new in crypto, but it's not new idea. If you Google around Forex, you will find the 3 push concept. It's not
Okay.
new.
Okay.
And it's not me. So obviously we teach this, and it's not everyone's cup of tea to draw boxes and lines, and I
Sure.
get that. And those who pursue, you would understand that there are specific behaviors that crypto has. Now, example, like Bitcoin's moonshot 1 doesn't go above all-time high. Okay, it did not do it the first time, didn't do it the second time. I don't think it's doing it this time. Again, I could be wrong. Now, the reason behind that is, you know, in layman's term, is because Bitcoin is a little bit is slow in getting to the party. You know, because Bitcoin is the granddaddy. He doesn't need to be in the party early. He's like the guy who's always late in the party and shows up.
Right.
So because of that, the moonshot tends to be below all-time high, and this is a characteristic I find that for the latecomers, so for not just Bitcoin, but for coins that are late, their moonshot 1 is below. All right, and for coins that are much faster, right, much faster, and for example, the last let's go to the chart, right? So the last cycle, Ethereum was a really fast coin, right? DeFi went crazy the last cycle. So wow, there's quite a few stuff here. So let me just delete, and this was the last cycle. And let me just delete some of this data. Yeah, some of this object here. So this was the last cycle, you know, and if we were to overlay, well, let's see, right? We'll overlay Bitcoin against Ethereum. I mean, just to show the speed to the viewers. Yeah, okay, pin to this one. Right, so you can see, you know, just now in our analysis, this was Bitcoin's moonshot 1, right? The orange color. If you recall, I'll just go back into, you know, this one where our analysis on the Bitcoin 20, yeah, this one over here. So right, yeah, I think this is the one. So you can see the moonshot one is here, right? So that's what we are saying. It's around the all-time high here, and that's where the moonshot one is. So switching over here, you can see the orange color. This is Bitcoin. That's a moonshot one. Look at where Ethereum's moonshot one is. It's right up there, right? And when you are early in the party, you know, your moonshot one can be up there, right? So that's why some of our altcoin projection can be up there, above the all-time high. What do you mean by up there? It means it's above this all-time high, right? So this was the all-time high for Ethereum those days. So if you are a high velocity coin, your moonshot one can be above all-time high. But for Bitcoin, it is below its all-time high, which is at the back. Yeah, that we saw. So that's one character that we find. So yeah, you can learn. You know, when you start doing a lot of these charts, you'll learn. For example, like this moonshot 2 push-up. That's a really high velocity play there. So now, you know, does it happen for Ethereum? Yeah. You know, Ethereum's you know, breaking all-time high. It shoots up as well. So, you know, you see those kind of pattern happening over and over again. And that's just how things are. So can you learn? The answer is yes, you can learn. Obviously, we teach the method. As you use the method more and more, a lot of innuendos, characters of the different coins, you start to learn. And this is where it makes you really dangerous, where you can see ahead of time, aha, I can see what you're trying to do. Again, example here, you know, if you take the second peak and the first peak, if the price really breaks up all the way, you know, from below to the all-time high, it will come back down to you know, the second peak again. Again, it's just how, you know, not only in Bitcoin, I see it in many coins as well. So you can use a lot of these insights to your advantage. So the answer is you can learn. So number one is, if it is your cup of tea in doing the analysis, which some of our investors love, yeah, you can learn. And the second thing is, the more you do it, the more of these insights you learn. And that's what, you know, happens to me, that I've been charting for what, more than 15 years now, technically. And a lot of this stuff is just, you know, it's obvious to me because I've done it, but the more you do it, the easier you're gonna read. It's like, you know, it's like reading Braille. I tell people. You know, back 80 years ago, the stock ticker, I'm not sure you guys would know, you know, the stock ticker is like a Braille. You know, that's how it is. It's a small machine that prints out information, and people will read it off their thumb, right? They'll read it off their thumb.
Because they can feel it, right?
Yeah, that's how they feel the market, right? Stock market ticker. I'm not sure if, let's see if there's an image of an old machine. Yeah, there you go. These are stock market. You see this guy, Thomas, that's funny. Yeah, these are old stock market ticker. Right? People would stand there and, you know, you print out like this, and they'll read, and, you know, I don't know whether they read or feel. They'll probably, yeah, they'll read. Yeah, I think that's reading. And you get a feel around how it is. And this is, again, you know, the old days on how people assess the trends. And today, you know, we've got charts, so we use charts instead. And the same, if you would have done the reading for many years, it's like reading newspaper, it's like reading Braille. Yeah, you just develop a trend. You can just see through this, how it is. Does it answer the question, John? Or
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
okay, yeah. How about Sheila? Is there anything in regards to the Bitcoin that you'd like to ask?
Yeah, to piggyback on John's question, you had talked about the bull market ending late 2021 or 2022. I was wondering how you determine that with your studies.
All right, it comes from the very first chart, which we have over here. It comes from here. You know, if I look at the last halving, it took just slightly below 1.5 years. The first one took less than a year. The second one took less than 1.5 years. The third one, so it would have to be, you know, slightly more than 1.5 years. Now, does it go to 2 years? Well, it can, you know, but do I see it going up to 2 years of a bull cycle? Probably not, because it takes time for the bear cycle to kick in. Now, I could be wrong. It could take all the way to 2 years, and that will bring us into somewhere, 2 years from now will be April, May, isn't it? April, May, around there. So it can happen, going all the way to 2 years. Now, there is something, again, very special, which I just missed this point, isn't it? In all the last cycle, you would see that the bull market tries to end somewhere around year end, right? It's either slightly, in this, you know, in the first cycle, 2011-12, you see it ended, you know, before 2014. This 2016-17 cycle ended just before 2018. So there's just something with the year end, with the bull cycle, and we expect the year, you know, the next one is around 2022. So I would expect that that's why we have over 1.5 years of a bull cycle. There's something about the year end, and my explanation is because the year end prints a new candle or bar, right? If in charts, right, a bar or a candle is printed when the time or the clock starts and ends. So when the year ends, it prints a new bar, a new candle, and because of that, it would need to end. Something needs to end, right? And that's why my rationale for 2021, end of 2021, is the answer. If you end somewhere in the middle, it's kind of weird. You know, the candle or the bar may have to print differently. It can, but that's the view that I'm projecting.
All right. What
Does
I
it
have
make
another
sense?
question. Yeah, it does make sense. What if there is a recession or a depression happening? Like, for instance, in the second happening, it seems like the world
Yeah.
economy was in a better place, and things are changing with the economy, with COVID, coronavirus, and maybe with cash no longer being, and there's just so many technical advances. Would that affect that?
Yeah, I think fundamentally it will get affected. So, well, there's a lot of question to me around, you know, will the market crash? Not just the crypto, you know, but in the stock market, you know, real estate and all this stuff. You know, if those market crash, will it affect crypto? Well, the answer is obviously yes. But will it crash? You know, I've said no, it won't crash. But I understand the decoupling between the economy and the stock market. So just first of all, okay, I completely understand that. When I say the stock market will go up, I don't mean the economy will do well. It's two different things now. So let's just be clear on that. So the stock market will do fairly well. Now, in fact, I think NASDAQ hit all-time high again yesterday. You guys can check. So for the last 2 months, NASDAQ has been hitting all-time high, the fourth time now, if my count is correct. And the market is, stock market is going up, the US stock market specifically. So I don't see the market crashing, fundamentally because you have the US Federal Reserve threatening everyone who tries to sell the market, right? basically that's what the US Federal Reserve has been saying. If you guys sell the market, guess what? We are buying it up. We've got operations in place, we'll buy it up. And then you will lose out. Now, if you tell this to the market, no one wants to sell. Right? No one wants to sell. No one wants to go against the biggest player in the world, which is the US Federal Reserve. And that is why the world's global reserve banks are all just buying stuff. It's not just reserve banks, but it's also because you have pension funds that is invested in the stock market. There's no chance in hell, well, at least the next 12 years, according to Martin Armstrong, right? That, that's his projection, that the market, will come down if everything is well in place. So, yeah, the market again, US, NASDAQ has done all-time high again yesterday. So I don't see it crashing, point number one. But it doesn't mean the economy will do well. The economy will continue to suffer. We have challenges, on the middle class and all this stuff. So yes, there's a lot of challenges. I don't see it happening. So yeah, things should be moving up.
Thank you.
Well, the other aspect is gold and silver as well. Being in the market, I mean, if you look at that, gold and silver, it's, let's just check, right? So let me see if what's happening. Yeah, here's the silver market. It just shot up again, right? So look at silver. This is a weekly chart, right? So this is a weekly chart. If you look at this chart, and I've said, Shayla, John, if I show you this chart, you would say, which crypto is this? Right?
Right.
And I will tell people, this is not crypto, guys. This is silver. I say, oh, is that right? This is silver. Okay. Yeah, this is silver. And you can see it going up, right? And you would see, gee, Jay, that this area looks like somewhere there is like a mountain here, and you mean it's trying to do a slingshot here? I say, yeah, the reason why, I can see it over here is because I came from the metals market, and the structure is really similar. That's how I transfer it into the crypto market. Yeah, that's just how it is for silver. Gold, gold is still going up, right? So some of you know my call on gold. So this is the, look at this, right? Now, John, if you look at this chart here, if I were to pick, and let's look at, I'll pick, I know this chart, AAVE, right? If I pick this chart, AAVE, this is land, some of you would know that we just came out from this trade. Right, if I do land and I contrast against gold, let's see. Now, let's see, let me go down to 3 days. Okay, tell me what you see, guys. Right.
Gold.
Gee, where do you think gold is going?
Up.
Oh, it's gonna crash, right? Oh yeah, you think it's gonna crash? Okay, if AAVE, we project AAVE to be going up, right? Okay, where do you think gold is going? All right, fine. So do you see like market structure? If I show you gold on the right and you say, oh wow, which crypto is that? The same, right? The left is a crypto, the right is gold. Yeah, metal is going to go up, stock market is going to go up, and crypto is going to go up, right? That's just how it's going to be. Well, is US dollar going to come down then? Well, US dollar will weaken a little bit heading into the US election. But after US election, US will, the US dollar will bounce back. So I'm not too concerned about US. So yeah. So this is the US 30 stocks, top 30 stocks, I would think. Yeah, so back in March, you can find my March tweet. I said the US stock market will roll back. to break all-time high. It didn't break all-time high, not for Dow Jones, but it went back really strongly. But Nasdaq did break all-time high, at least 4 times the last 2 months, I think. Yeah, so that's how it's going to be. That's just my view. Again, you guys would need to decide what you believe. Yeah. Is that okay, Shayla?
Yes, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful presentation, very helpful, very informative. I love your teaching style.
Okay. Yeah, we try to use evidence. Again, we look at what market is doing. I cannot speak if I don't have the evidence. That's just how it is. Or trends to back it up. So I don't see it. And the other thing is, yeah, people say don't fight the Fed. That is absolutely true. People who short the market, oh man, they get into all sorts of trouble. Yeah. Okay. Any other thing, John, Shayla, that we'll need to cover on the crypto?
I just want to end with this. And again, my dad would say, don't sound like a broken record. Keep on saying the same thing over and over. But
Yeah.
I really mean this, Jay. Using your Bitcoin example of like Bitcoin being late to the party.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got an invitation to your party. I'm glad to be part of your party. I want to learn while I'm at your party. I
Yeah.
don't drink. I'll be drinking lemonade standing in the corner. I'm going to behave at the party. But in the end, I want to celebrate you and all that you do for the people that have joined to the trading group. So thank you.
Right. Appreciate those words. And I think Shayla, you just joined a week or 2 ago, Shayla, as well.
Right.
Is that true?
That's right. Right. I'm learning so much. And you've been so generous with the time you've taken with myself and answering questions. And I'm so grateful. And what you said has been very prudent. And it's just helped me. And it just makes so much sense. And going forward, I'm excited for this next bull run. I'm excited to share it with you and
Yeah.
John and the other people in the community and my friends, so we can all be prosperous. And I'm hoping that we can all get together and have a big party.
Fantastic. I know my kid will be heading to US. I tell them once this whole 18 months is over, we'll travel the world. And one of the things I love is like what you do, John. You do your road trips. I'll do that as well. And I would love to take an account on some of your stories and maybe some of the other investor stories. Again, all these accounts will be useful to the future investors as well. Not just this bull cycle, but the adoption for crypto today, it's probably somewhere in 2-3% maybe in the world. The rest of the world, 97% of the world don't care or don't know about Bitcoin. But we know that will change as the years go by. But a lot of what we do, what we share, is going to be useful, right, for these people who first come in. So that's why I think what you guys said and your experience matters, in my opinion. And I think the more we can account and share all these great stories would be useful. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys who support the group, and we are educational for those who doesn't know. Now I may open up again next month in terms of the membership, but right now the next few weeks I just want to make sure that the investors are being dealt with. I have the time to speak to each one, as many as I can, that wants to have a longer conversation. And also we have done our homework before we actually accept the next batch of investors coming in. So I will open up, but just not now. The next few weeks I just want to take some time out, talk to you guys, make sure you are you are comfortable at where you are because the bull run is happening, you are well positioned, and you know what to do, what to expect in your portfolio. And also, I have the time to do some homework like this. On Bitcoin, there's more coming. And once I'm done with most of the foundation work here, then we will get more investors and see how we can help them. Yeah, if not, they will, like what you guys did, fall off the cliff. Um, and there's a saying in trading that I always tell people, unless you're out of the water, the crocodiles are still there to get you, right? It's not over until the fat lady sings. In other words, you could be profitable now, but if you do not know how to play the game well, at the end of the entire cycle, or at the end of this whole experience, you can still lose a lot of money. So because people get greedy, they'll buy at the wrong time. They had like, oh, I have 10x now. Look what, you can't go wrong. You just keep buying, and they buy at the wrong time. And when the whole market crash, they lose it all. And so that is why it's important to learn. And we'll try to serve as many as we can. But we'll see. We just need to be prudent in what we do. Okay. Is that okay, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jay.
Okay. Yeah, maybe last words from both of you before we close off. Is there anything you'd like to share in regards to maybe either the community or the group we have, or your advice to the new investors coming into Bitcoin? What's your advice? What's your view? Last words. John, I'll go with you, John.
Okay. Well, I just said this to someone the other day. I've
Yeah.
got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I should be listening twice as much as I'm speaking.
Okay.
So again, without sounding like a broken record, when Jay speaks, I'm listening. So thank you.
Thank you, John. And Shayla, your last words to the new investors.
I would say when you're getting excited and you're making gains and you're not sure about something, just to go outside and put your feet on the earth and take a walk and get grounded, and then make a decision from your gut, from your core, instead of making a decision from the euphoria. Yeah,
that's such a great advice. I had an investors discussion a few weeks back. He's really excited. He's like, Jay, I can't sleep. I'm I'm going nuts. And that's what I told him. Hey, get out, go take a walk. Get out into big space. Just get out and physically do something, right? Get grounded, like you say, Shayla. Put your feet on the ground, on the sand. Just the moment you are not balanced as an individual, it's very hard to deal with irrational mind. You don't have the rational mind to come help you make the right decision. So it's very true, and I would say that as well, that the body, the heart, and the mind needs to be well balanced, well aligned. So as a trader, that's why nothing fazes me. I can sleep really well. And so long as you are guided, you're checking, with your actions, with your emotions, with your mind. Hey, are we well balanced? Are we on the right track? Are we making the right calls? And that's really key. So thank you for those words, Shayla.
You're welcome.
And we will end there. So hopefully, this 1.5 hours will find its way to the new investors and they would benefit. And as usual, we will share all of this in the public. And John, you can get a copy of the video. And Shayla, you can get a copy downloaded. If you want to just, put on a stick and just share it with people, and hopefully this will help them, not lose money, hopefully, make some money. Is that good?
Good.
Sounds good, Jay.
All right.
Thanks again.
Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
for your time. Yeah, and we will see you soon.
You bet. Thank you.